కానీ అదే ప్లేటో తర్వాత ఇంకో పుస్తకం రాశాడు, ఏ మోర్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ బట్ లెస్ రికగ్నైజ్డ్ బుక్, ద లాస్ అని చెప్పాను. ఎందుకని? ప్లేటో రియలైజ్డ్ బై దిస్ టైమ్ దట్ ఇట్స్ వెరీ రేర్ దట్ ఎ ఫిలాసఫర్ యాక్చువల్లీ బికమ్స్ ఎ కింగ్. తత్వవేత్త ఎప్పుడు రాజు కావడం చాలా కష్టం. Even if a philosopher does become a king, it's much rarer to remain a philosopher as a king. ఒకవేళ రాజు పొరపాటున తత్వవేత్త పొరపాటున రాజు అయినా కూడా ఒకసారి రాజే అధికారం చూసిన తర్వాత తత్వవేత్తగా మిగులుండటం కష్టం. అధికారం మనిషిని నాశనం చేస్తుంది. బట్ ఈవెన్ ఇఫ్ ద కింగ్ రిమైన్స్ ఎ ఫిలాసఫర్, he alone cannot actually control the destiny of a society. It requires many more players. It's not one human being. ఎంత గొప్పవాడైనా సరే, అశోకుడే కావచ్చు, అక్బర్ కావచ్చు, మరొకడు కావచ్చు, ఆ ఒక్క మనిషి వల్ల ఏ సమాజం కూడా బాగుపడదు. He can only show the way, he can build institutions, instruments, he can set examples, but he cannot on his own deliver. And therefore you require a system of laws to create the right kind of incentives and disincentives. వాల్యూస్ వద్దని కాదు, మనకి బాటిల్లో నీళ్లున్నాయి, ఈ నీళ్లే మనకు దాహాన్ని తీర్చేది, మన పనికొచ్చేది నీళ్ళే. నీళ్ళు లేకపోతే మన ప్రాణావసరం ఇంకేం లేదు దీనిలో. కానీ ఈ బాటిల్ లేదనుకోండి, ఈ నీళ్ళన్నీ కింద పడతాయి, ఆవిరైపోతాయి, ఎక్కడో ఉంటాయి, ఎక్కడికి పోలా. అకార్డింగ్ టు లా ఆఫ్ కన్జర్వేషన్ ఆఫ్ మ్యాస్, ఇది ఎక్కడికి పోదు, ఉంటుంది, బట్ ఇట్స్ నాట్ యూజబుల్. ఎక్కడో ఉందనుకుంటే మనకు ఉపయోగం లేదు. It is no longer usable. Unless the bottle is there, the container is there, the water has no content, it has no usability. Values are necessary, but you require institutions to protect values, to nourish values, and to make people do the right thing for the common good. That is the challenge of all administration. That's why law, government, administration, bureaucracy, judiciary, everything. మనం ఇవన్నీ మర్చిపోయి పోలీసుడు గొప్పడా, ఏసుడు గొప్పడా, సెంట్రల్ సర్వీస్ గొప్పదా, డైరెక్టర్ గొప్పడా, ప్రమోటర్ గొప్పడా, జడ్జి గొప్పడా, అధికారి గొప్పడా, పాలిటీషియన్ గొప్పడా, బ్యూరోక్రాట్ గొప్పడా, ఇలాంటి చెత్త దానిలో పడిపోయాం. ఓన్లీ హాఫ్ బేక్డ్ పీపుల్, ignorant people, irrelevant people, because ultimately they're irrelevant because they can't make a difference to the country. They get lost in these trivia. So my appeal to all of you is, I'll conclude in 2 minutes. We have to understand the context. We have to realize that we have underperformed as a country. We also must recognize we did a lot of wonderful things. This country is not a failure everywhere. The fact that this nation was integrated, more than 500 princely states were integrated in a way that no other nation on earth was ever integrated. It took 23 years in Italy to integrate just 9 Italian-speaking provinces, all of the same skin color, religion, language, history, civilization. It took 9 years of blood and iron to unify 39 German-speaking states. Tens of thousands of people lost their lives. In just 18 months' time, probably 15 months' time, more than 500 princely states could be integrated in this nation of ours, of various regions, religions, languages, castes, even ethnicity, without a shot being fired except in the state of Hyderabad. ఇక్కడ ఒక్కచోటే police action లో there was some violence, and even there the Indian army lost only 5 to 10 people, fewer than 10 people in the army, that's all. Many more of the Razakas died and a few hundred Nizam soldiers died, but Indian army lost only about 10 people. There was never an episode like that in human history. It was an extraordinary accomplishment. Similarly, the linguistic reorganization of states, the strong federalism that we built in this country. You look at a country like Sri Lanka, 2 languages unte they're not able to coexist. For 30 years there was strife, bloodshed, terrorism, enormous loss to the nation. Only now they're recovering from the trauma. Take a country like Belgium. There are just 2 languages in the tiny country, Gochipatam Desham ade. In the tiny country there are 2 languages. The Flemish people, they speak Dutch language, and the French-speaking people. They're not able to come together in that very tiny country, though developed. They're not able to form a government for months. You go to Canada, a very, very progressive, developed country. Just 1 province, Quebec, with French-speaking people, they're not able to coexist. Every other year, there is a demand for a referendum. and a talk of secession. And imagine the enormity of the project of India and the remarkable success in building the nation. We are capable of doing a lot more, but we're doing a lot less than we need to, a lot less than what we're capable of. So what to do? I'll spend just 2 minutes on what to do, because once we understand the problem, the solutions are self-evident. And then we can have interventions from others and we can have interaction. Recruitment is not the major problem. The commission in which I was a member, Administrative Reforms Commission, while reporting that report, while I contributed significantly, this was published after I resigned from that commission, so I wanted to see what was happening. Actually, I'm disappointed. They spent a lot of time and attention on recruitment. Civil services, on the whole, there is always room for improvement, but these are minor technical improvements. On the whole, recruitment is not the problem. The problem is, we get some of the brightest men and women in this country into the civil services. We make monkeys out of them within 10 years. How to get the best out of them? How to make them give the best to the country? That's where we have failed. It's not in recruiting people. And sadly, like many others do, my commission also has erred in my judgment. Because at that time I was not there. If I was there, when that report was being written, I would have brutally forced them to my way, not because I am strong, but because my logic is impeccable. My facts are unquestioned. So it's not the recruitment that is where the key intervention should be. First, we have no specialization. There is no civil service in the world today, outside of India and maybe Pakistan and Bangladesh to some extent. Outside of South Asia, there is no civil service in the world today which is so all-purpose, incompetent, uninformed, and ignorant. One day you're Secretary Education, next day you're Secretary Health, third day you're Secretary Industries, fourth day you're Secretary Defense. What rubbish is this? No human being is capable of doing all these things. I remember 21 years ago I was made the MD of the State Cooperative Bank. I knew nothing about the banks. Except as a customer in a bank, I knew nothing about the banks. I went to two of my predecessors and took copious notes from them about the bank. They gave me all sorts of information. But they did not tell me the two most important things in the bank. What is the recovery rate on that day? Banku double pressure appu istundi. Appu tirigi teesukovali kada ate bank munilipotundi kada. Bank ki tirigi enta chellistunnaro vallaku teliyadu anadu. They were heading the bank. Rendu bank default ante bank inkokaliki appu untundi in turn. Deposits ke kaakunda. Enta appu unnam. Ee rendu bank bhavishyattu nirnayinchevi. Both of them, they were unaware, they did not think that they were important, and they led the bank. Led in quotes. It is a miracle that that bank survived me. I had to then pull up my bootstraps and then understand exactly what was happening and work hard with the people and members of the cooperatives and the elected managements. Former elected managements, inspire them and then take the bank out of the woods. This is not the way to run a country. This is a disgrace in the modern world. We must have specialization. 2, you cannot have monopoly. ఇవాళ గవర్నమెంట్లో ఏ ఉద్యోగం వచ్చినా కూడా 22-23 ఏళ్ల వయసులో ఏదో అదృష్టం కొద్దీనో బట్టి పట్టాడు కాబట్టో కాపీ కొట్టాడు కాబట్టో ఐపీఎస్కో మరో దానికో పట్టాడు కాబట్టి వచ్చే 35 ఏళ్ళు వాడు ప్రభుత్వానికి అల్లుడు, వాడు దొంగైనా దరిద్రుడైనా దేశాన్ని దోచుకున్నా వాడిని మనం ఏం చేయమనే సంస్కృతి ప్రబలిపోయింది ఇవాళ. ఐఏఎస్ నుంచి గుమస్తా బంట్రోత్ దాకా. We have to have a system of accountability. And we have to remove the monopoly. Particularly for the senior positions, we must make them open to everybody, not only in the government but outside. ప్రభుత్వంలో కీలకమైన పదవి ఏమన్నా సరే, anybody in government, you may be from income tax, from police, from IAS, from other branches of government, audits and accounts or some other branch, you must be eligible to compete on equal terms. But more important, people outside the government, Krishna Reddy Garu, somebody else is there. If there is a key position available, maybe they are the best people because the country deserves the best, not the mediocre. You want to run administrative, education or healthcare, urban management, traffic. You require the best, not somebody, not an also-ran. Somebody who understands the sector intimately, who studied a lifetime, who has innovative ideas, who has passion. Somebody whom elect to come in only for 5-10 years and then do his work and go back. Because government eppudu kuda aadayam undadu. Edo chaali aadayam untundi anywhere in the world. బయట నా బతుకు నేను బతుకుతాను, నా వృత్తి నేను చేసుకుంటాను. కానీ హైదరాబాద్ సిటీలో ట్రాఫిక్ అధ్వాన్నంగా ఉంది, వాటర్ సప్లై బాగోలేదు, లేదా మరో పరిస్థితి బాగోలేదు, అగ్రికల్చర్ బాగోలేదు, ఇక్కడ ఏదో ఫలానా చేస్తే బాగుంటుంది, నాకు తెలిసి ఏం చేయాలో అనుకుంటే ఆల్ రైట్, లెట్ దెమ్ కమ్ ఇన్. Do work for those 5 years or so and go back again. Make a difference and go back. We must create a porous civil service where the best can come in at any point of time. And those in services are on their toes. They cannot have this arrogance and monopoly that breeds ignorance and incompetence. Mood, those who do not deliver, they must go back to the barracks. This is not a preserve for the incompetent and ignorant. Indian people are not so rich that they can afford to bear the burden of a vast bureaucracy which is dysfunctional. A teacher who does not go to school to work, a health worker who is not available in the hospital, a collector who doesn't know how to handle any situation, a secretary to government who is ignorant of his subject, they are unfit to be in the public domain. Let them go back to their homes and do whatever they can. But they cannot be in government as a burden to the rest of the society. These are harsh words, but they're necessary words. If you have self-respect as a country, you want to transform the country, deliver, or else go back home. Nalugu, when they're capable of functioning, give them guaranteed tenure. 3 నెలలకు ఒకడిని 6 నెలలకు నా మాట నచ్చలేదు, అన్నిటిగా నా మాట లేదు, మర్నాడు సంకరణ మంజలు పంచే. That's not the way a country is run. Once somebody competent and professional is identified and he is placed in the position, and that position, that agency must be now insulated from the vagaries of day-to-day politics and partisanship. He must be accountable to the political executive, no question about it. Accountable to the parliament and legislature, no question about it. But accountability does not mean that every day he will breathe down your neck and tell you what to do. That's not the way any system can function. That's not the way a household can function. ఇంటైన రోజు కిచెన్లోకి వెళ్ళి ఎట్ట చేస్తుంటే పెళ్ళం మన్నాడు విడకు వచ్చేస్తుంది, లేకపోతే నువ్వు చేసుకోవాలని పోతుంది. You cannot run in a kitchen like that. That's not the way. Give them the task. Give them the resources and the authority. Hold them to account in terms of outcomes. If they don't perform, throw them out. But otherwise, don't micromanage. Further, there are many mechanisms. One of them is executive agencies. Britain, Australia, other countries attempted with some degree of success. Have high degree of autonomy, but measurable outcomes. Measure them by those failure standards and outcomes. Education Secretary ki vela, all that they think of is, sir, enrollment baga improve అయింది సార్, సర్వశిక్ష అభియాన్లో స్కూల్ రూమ్స్ బాగా కట్టిస్తున్నాం సార్, మేము ఎమ్మెల్యే గారు అడిగితే డబ్బులు ఇచ్చాం సార్ మేము. ఐఎమ్ అషేమ్డ్. మీకు ఎట్లా తెలియదు, 90% of secretaries of education do not know anything about PISA, do not know anything about the outcomes of education in this country. తెలిసిన వాళ్ళు ఏం చేస్తున్నారు తెలుసా, జేపీలు అంటే అంతా గొడవ పెడుతున్నారండి, ఈ గొడవ అంతా ఎందుకు, నెక్స్ట్ టైం అసలు PISA సర్వేలో ఇండియా అని చేర్చొద్దండి అంటున్నారు. ఈ గొడవ లేదు, అసలు కంపారిజన్ లేదు, గొడవ లేదుగా. వీ కెన్ వాల్యూ ఇన్ అవర్ ఇగ్నరెన్స్. కోపస్థ మండోకాల్లో ఉండి దేశాన్ని నాశనం చేస్తూ ఉండొచ్చు, మనం నటించవచ్చు గొప్ప అధికారులుగాను నాయకులుగాను. That's what they're attempting. Some people are seriously saying, we should not be in PISA. మనకు అవమానకరంగా ఉంది. దేశం నాశనమైతే అవమానకరంగా లేదు, నాశనమైందని బయట పెడితే అవమానకరంగా ఉంది. మనం అసమర్థులుగా ఉంటే అవమానకరంగా లేదు, అసమర్థత బయట పెడితే అవమానకరంగా ఉంది. బట్ డిస్గ్రేస్ టు ద కంట్రీ. Measurable outcomes. And then, no matter how high and mighty you may be, if you indulge in deliberate wrongdoing, malicious wrongdoing, not mistakes of omission and commission which are accidental, not deliberate mistakes, but deliberate abuse of office or monumental corruption. దేశమంతా కరప్షన్ గురించి మాట్లాడుతున్నారు, ఇంకా ఎక్స్ట్రా మాట్లాడక్కర్లే. No matter how high you are, you must be sacked. The system must be effective and swift, and you must be sent to jail, and most of all, your properties must be confiscated. Nobody must be insulated in this country for the consequences of wrongdoing. If we have the courage to build a civil service like that, that's what we deserve, then we will get what we as a people desire, need and deserve. అవి ఏం చేయకుండా మన ఊరికే ప్రతివాడు ఇంకోటి ఉపన్యాసాలు ఇస్తూ కూర్చుంటే, డ్రామాలు ఆడుతుంటే, we'll continue to simply muddle through. India will be also ran, and we'll always look at the television channels and talk about how wonderful other countries are, how good India could have been at one stage, how much of window of opportunity existed, and how we bungled. We deserve more of ourselves. We need to respect ourselves much more as a country. We need to be more committed to our country, to our people. One last word. All this also means that we are willing to delegate power, decentralize. మనందరికి ఇక్కడ పాలిటీషియన్స్, బ్యూరోక్రాట్స్ అందరూ కలిసి దేశాన్ని ద్రోహం చేస్తున్నారు. Neither an MLA nor an IAS officer, none of them want decentralization of power. We all want power in our hands. ఇవాళ ఒక పంచాయత్ స్కూల్లో టీచర్ని ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ చేయాలని చెప్పంటే ముఖ్యమంత్రికి ఫైల్ వస్తుంది. I don't know why the chief minister has even the, I don't know, I'll be using harsh words, therefore I refrain from using. ఏ మాత్రం విద్యత ఉన్నా కూడా, how can you respect yourself if you have to see a file about the teacher's transfer in a mandal? Nobody asked this question. No chief minister says, why am I burdened with this? I simply want delivery of education, take care of this at the local level. No fellow wants this. ఎందుకంటే వాడి పని వాడు చేసుకుంటే మన దగ్గరికి ఎవరు రారేమో, మన వెనకాల బాధ్యపరితులు ఉండరేమో, మన అలాగే అసమర్థులు పనికిరాని వాళ్ళం. మనకు ఆ సంగతి తెలుసు. ఈ పదవి వల్ల వచ్చే రాజవిభాగాలు చుట్టూ ఉన్న 100 మంది తప్ప మనకి ఇంకేం గొప్పతనం లేదు, లోపలేం లేదు, డొల్ల. కాబట్టి బయట కావాలి, చుట్టూ గందరగోళం, ప్రతివాడు ఫైల్ పెట్టి మన దగ్గర కాళ్ళు పట్టుకోవాలా. ఇది మనకు పదవి అధికారం అంటే. సేమ్ థింగ్ విత్ ద కలెక్టర్. నో ఐఏఎస్ ఆఫీసర్ వాంట్స్ టు ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ పవర్స్ టు లోకల్ గవర్నమెంట్స్. అన్ని వంకలు చెప్తాడు వాడు, పనికిరాడు సార్, నువ్వు పనికి వస్తున్నావా, అందుకే నన్ను 73rd ర్యాంకులో వచ్చావు పీసాలో. వాడు అవినీతి పడి సార్, అందుకే నా దేశం అంతా అవినీతి, ఎక్కడ పోయినా ఏ చిన్న పని కావాలని డబ్బులు లేకుండా పని జరగట్లేదు. దీస్ ఆర్ ఆల్ ఎక్స్క్యూజెస్. Transfer as much power as possible to the people with resources, but hold people to account. If they go wrong, punish them swiftly in an exemplary manner. Let me give one example. Take the city of Jamshedpur. Have an idea on that? Where is it? Jharkhand. Jamshedpur city, as you probably are aware, is managed by Tatas. It's not managed by a corporation or a municipality. It's the only city in the country. It's the only city where you can drink water off the tap. Infection వస్తుందన్న భయం లేకుండా, ఇన్ఫెస్టేషన్కి గురవుతామన్న భయం లేకుండా, you can drink the water off the tap in Jamshedpur. It's the only city. The roads, the water supply, the drainage, the sewerage, the street lighting, all are as good as can be under Indian circumstances. I'm not saying it's like in Sweden or Britain, that will be stupid. But as good as can be under Indian circumstances with our resources. Any problem you have, you just have to make one phone call. There is a call center. అమెరికాలో ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ వస్తే మన ఇండియాలో కాల్ సెంటర్లో మన వాళ్ళంతా ఇంగ్లీష్ బొట్టర్ ఇంగ్లీష్ నేర్చుకుని వాళ్ళతో మాట్లాడుతున్నారు. హైదరాబాద్లో ప్రాబ్లమ్ వస్తే చూసే కాల్ సెంటర్ లేదు మనకి. నేను దుబ్బడే అమెరికా కాల్ సెంటర్ పెడితే ఇండియాలో హైదరాబాద్ పెట్టలేమా కాల్ సెంటర్, బెంగళూరు పెట్టలేమా? The call center receives complaints and instantly transmits them to 26 agencies at the city to take care of the problems. For every problem, timelines are given. And it's attended to and it's monitored. ఈ మొత్తం చేయడానికి ఎంత క్వాలిటీ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్కి all it is costing is 2,000 rupees per capita. 2,000 rupees per capita. You know how much Andhra Pradesh government is spending? Anybody in per capita terms? Anybody? You're in public administration, my friend. 18,000 rupees per capita. 18,000 rupees per capita. I'm not saying all of this should go to the city. I'm saying if 10% of it goes to the city and to the local community, to the village, to the municipal ward, with adequate authority and with accountability, a lot of energy will be liberated. A lot of talent will be utilized. If Mr. Anjana Reddy, as a retired official, cannot handle the community affairs in the locality, but he can handle the state of Andhra Pradesh as a home secretary or DGP or a secretary something or a chief secretary, what rubbish are we talking about? There is so much energy and capacity. We are neither delivering nor transferring powers and authority and responsibility to the people. If only we do that, a lot of the routine problems can be resolved. There is no substitute to decentralization of power. Creating effective, functional, strong, independent, robust local governments with adequate authority and accountability so that the taxes and services can be linked. People can see where, so that there is a link between vote and public good. People can see that yes, my vote has consequences. If I vote for the right man or right woman, things actually are improving. Democracy will mature. We really want to change the way bureaucracy functions. The country should, the delivery is there for the country, for the people. This is the way forward. I hope you, as budding civil servants, even as citizens of this country, as people who care deeply about our fellow countrymen and our own future, will take this to heart. It's beyond an IAS examination. It's beyond a job. It's nation building itself. People like VP Menon and many others, they were as important and as tall as the national leaders who built India. They envisioned a great India. They went through extraordinary difficulties. And they built the foundations of a great republic. A wise and mature civil servant, just as a wise and mature citizen and a wise and mature public representative can make wonders happen. But are we wise enough and mature enough? Do we have the sankalpa? Do we have the courage and conviction? Do we have the integrity and commitment? Above all, do we have the competence and expertise? That's what shapes the future of our country. And I hope all of you will have a wonderful time in public service, in government or outside. But I hope more than that, 25 years later, 30 years later, when you are talking to your next generation like this, you will have the courage and confidence to say that, look, we have solved most of the problems we have inherited. Now you create your own problems and you solve them. Because every generation will have its own problems. But you must be able to say, the problems we inherited have been solved in a substantial measure. If we don't have the capacity to say that with integrity, then we have failed. Failure is not an option. I hope you will succeed in personal lives and in promoting public good. I wish you all the very best.
My name is Heath Mehta and I'm a commerce graduate. Sir, I'll just take 15-20 seconds to explain my point because I want it to be very clear. When we hear inspirational speeches like this, it sustains for a very shorter period of time. So I have a strong urge to do something for society, but that urge is very short-lived. So can you please help us explain, how to keep on the zeal for a longer period of time to serve the society?
You are Mehra, you said?
Heath Mehta.
Mehta.
Yes, sir.
That's a good question, Mehta. When we think we are doing something fantastic for the bulk of the people, we are great heroes, then it's very difficult to sustain it for long. When we realize it's actually about ourselves, probably it makes more sense. You know, we have to do what we have to do as citizens, as public administrators, as public men and women, as journalists, as professionals, etc. Not because we are very compassionate and generous and noble human beings, not because we are Mahatma Gandhis. Actually, sometimes I think Mahatma Gandhi is the problem of India. Do not mistake this for irreverence. Of course, all of us admire Mahatma Gandhi. There's no citizen in the world who would not admire Mahatma Gandhi. That's not the issue. But Gandhiji elevated the bar to such a level that somehow in our minds, doing something for the public is equated with enormous personal sacrifice and sainthood. మనం అంత పెద్ద ఋషులం కాలేం కాబట్టి, అంత సాక్రిఫైస్ చేయలేం కాబట్టి, మన మహాత్ములం కాలేం కాబట్టి, we can become Godses. So we only have two options, either become a Gandhi or a Godse. Either a saint or a villain. It's a very silly way of looking at society. What we need is harmoniously balance and reconcile your personal growth and needs. Each of us wants to fulfill our personal dreams. It's our right. There's nothing to be ashamed about it. You need money to survive, but money earned with honor and dignity. And you need to survive with dignity. You need to take care of your family's needs. You need to fulfill your other dreams of professional excellence, gratification, self-actualization. All these are your rights. But if they are done in isolation, ignoring the larger realities of the community and the society, then we cannot really benefit. No matter how rich and powerful you are, no matter how comfortable you are, no matter how wonderful your home is, the mosquito that bites the urchin in the neighborhood is going to enter your home also. Today I read a news item. I was actually happy, vicariously happy. I read the item saying that Delhi is now under the grip of a dengue fever. I was happy because the fellows and lieutenants Delhi must know what India is going through. If Delhi is spared of dengue fever, I'd be deeply disappointed. Only when they realize what's happening in the country, hopefully they will wake up. So no matter how rich and powerful you are, the mosquito that bites the neighborhood urchin will also enter your home and bite you and your kids and your family, will also transmit the dengue virus. Because you know what? Mosquitoes are truly socialist. They don't recognize rank or money or privilege or status or power. They treat every human being as equal, and they perform their dharma. Mosquitoes' dharma is to bite a human being. In the process, it may transmit a virus that's incidental, they're not bothered. And therefore, controlling mosquito, making our lives better, ensuring that there's no preventable death or illness, ensuring that there is fulfillment of human potential, ensuring that there are no accidents on the road, meaningless accidents and useless loss of life, ensuring that the water is available to you at home, ensuring that the water is not mixed with sewage. It is our desperate need. This is not great social service. We are unnecessarily elevating this issue. This is simple common sense. And therefore, we have to combine both. And no matter how big you are, how insulated you think you are, Americans often used to think, oh, all India is dirty, useless. See how we are. See now in Staten Island, in New York City. See now in New Jersey now. They are saying exactly the things that our villagers say. Where is government? What is happening? Our homes are destroyed. Nobody to take care of us. There's cold. There's no electricity in the house. Suddenly they realize that there's a world outside, and unless that is improved, my homes, my incomes cannot save me. It is that's important. So in that sense, please ignore Gandhiji. Become practical citizens. Practical patriotism is sustainable. If you can rise to a higher level and are willing to sacrifice something of your own in order to pursue public good, then you are a more elevated soul. My salutes to you. If you give up everything of personal significance and only work for the country, you are even greater. You become a Mahatma. My pranams to you. But at least let's do this much. Combine public good with private gain. Don't see them as zero-sum game. One cannot be at the cost of the other. If I pollute the environment, if I dump all the toxic materials in Hyderabad sewers, and if I make money, I am going to destroy myself and the city. Therefore, I have to do both. I think, Mehta, that is the practical way of sustaining good sense. Let's do that much. If you can do more, then you are an elevated person, and we are all grateful to you for that.
సార్ మీరు అడ్మినిస్ట్రేటివ్ నా పేరు మహేష్ సార్ ఎంసీ అయిపోయింది మొన్న లాస్ట్ అంటే మన మెయిన్స్ అపియర్ అయ్యాను అయితే హాల్లో కూర్చున్న తర్వాత కొంతమంది ఆఫీసర్స్ అంటే బయటకు వచ్చిన తర్వాత తెలిసింది ఒక ఇద్దరు ఐపీఎస్ ఆఫీసర్స్ కొంతమంది ఐఆర్ఎస్ ఇంకొంతమంది సెంట్రల్ సర్వీస్ అక్కడ నాకు కొద్దిగా బాధ అనిపించింది సార్ ఏంటంటే ఇప్పుడు వాళ్ళు ఒక ఐపీఎస్ ఆఫీసర్ ఇద్దరికి 5th అటెంప్ట్లో ఐపీఎస్ వచ్చింది ఇంకో 2 years ఉంది అంటే వాళ్ళు ఓబీసీ కేటగిరీ కాబట్టి ఇంకో 2 years ఉంది వాళ్ళు ఐఏఎస్ కూడా అపియర్ కావచ్చు కానీ అసలు వాళ్ళు ట్రైనింగ్లో ఉన్న అంత క్రూషియల్ టైంలో వాళ్ళు ఐపీఎస్ సంబంధించిన కొన్ని ట్రైనింగ్ సెషన్లో ఉంటారు వాళ్ళు ఒక ఐపీఎస్ కాకుండా ఐఆర్ఎస్ తర్వాత ఇంకా అనేక రకాల సెంట్రల్ సర్వీస్ వాళ్ళందరూ ట్రైనింగ్ సెషన్లో ఉన్నప్పుడు వాళ్ళకు ముఖ్యమైన విషయాలు అక్కడ నేర్చుకోవాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంటుంది కానీ ఆ టైంలో కూడా మళ్ళీ వాళ్ళు ఐఏఎస్ కోసం ప్రిపేర్ కావడం అనేది వాళ్ళ ట్రైనింగ్ సెషన్ని కానీ లేకపోతే వాళ్ళు చేయబోయే వృత్తిని కానీ ఏ విధంగా న్యాయపరిచినట్టుగా ఉంటుందంటారు.
To me, it's a very minor issue. Again, a very technical minor issue. And typical, మనం జీరో సంఖ్య అనుకుని వాడికి ఉద్యోగం వస్తే నాకు రాదు నాకు వస్తే వాడికి రాదు ఈ గొడవలో పడిపోయి మనం we're all exaggerating the importance of these things. In the premier civil services, we need people of a variety of backgrounds. If somebody, for instance, underwent an IPS training for a year and then got into IAS or foreign service,